But let's go back and take a look at the Start button again. We know that the right side of the Start button contains some common folders as well as some common ways to access settings through the control panel, devices and printers, and default programs. But what about the left side? Well, the left side is kind of a combination. There are some things that will always appear there, and there are some things that will kind of rotate on or off, only showing up if you recently use them. But one of the things that I notice is what I happen to be looking for isn't here. So how do I find it? Well, there's a couple of ways to do that. Let's say what I'm looking for is the calculator. The calculator is a program that comes with Windows, and I know I should have it, but I'm not seeing it. Well, even though you have recently used applications at the top of the list, you'll notice at the bottom it also says All Programs. If I pause over this, then I get to see a different type of menu, and I'm just going to move my mouse off of it and show you that once you pause over it and you click, it doesn't necessarily go back, but now the option actually turns to back. So you can see as I continue to move over this in Windows 7, it kind of moves and changes automatically. In Windows Vista and in Windows XP, you would actually need to physically left-click on this option to get it to expand out. So once I'm seeing all of my programs, it gets easier to see what I'm looking for. I can see a variety of things, and again, we're not talking specifically about software here, so we're not going to talk about all of them. But one that I wanted to point out is that every Windows computer has a folder called Accessories. In order to see what's in Accessories, I need to click on it, which I'll do now. That expands the Accessories folder and lets me see what's in it. So now way up here at the top is the folder, and all of these things indented below are inside of the Accessories folder. And what do you know? There's my calculator. So I could simply click on the calculator at this point and launch the program and use it to do some math. That's a good thing if I know where to find it, but that also can be very hard. So I want to show you one of the shortcuts that's available with Windows Vista and Windows 7. I'm going to move back down to the bottom of the menu, and I'm going to choose Back. That's going to move me back to All Programs, which is the default where I can see it. Now you'll notice just above the Office button and just below All Programs, there's a text box that says Search for Programs and Files. I've used this a couple of times already when we went to use different things in the computer, even though we hadn't quite gotten to this point yet. For example, I did a search for mouse and keyboard. Now what I'm going to do is say, I don't know where to find this calculator. I know that we have one, but I have no idea what folder it would be in. So instead, I can simply start to type calculator. You'll notice that I do not have to completely type it. This is a smart search feature. The computer goes out, and as you type each letter, it tries to narrow it down. And by the time that I get to CAL, it says, okay, I found one program that has CAL in it called Calculator. I also found some entries under the control panel, Calibrate, for example, or Clock. Calculator is what I want, and so again, I could click on this. And we've done this a couple of times when we've opened up different features for working with our keyboard and our mouse. But here's what I want to do. I actually want to be able to get to the calculator quicker and faster. So I'm going to pin this to the Start menu so I can find it when I want it. If I right-click on the calculator option, one of the options I have is something that says Pin it to the Start menu. I will left-click Pin to Start menu, and now I'm going to press my Escape key to get out of this. And what I can now see is that even though I haven't opened it, the calculator will permanently stay pinned to the top of my Start menu. That way I always know where to find it. That makes it very easy. Probably one of my favorite features about Vista and Windows 7 is the addition of this ability to search by simply clicking on the Start button and typing in the name of a folder, a file, or a program. Since your computer can literally hold thousands and thousands of files, this makes finding what you look for relatively easy and a lot faster than having to search through all of those folders on their own. But let's get back to this taskbar. I'm going to press my Escape key to get out of the Start button, and we'll talk a little bit about the taskbar, which is always going to be at the bottom of our screen. Remember that on the right-hand side we have the System tray. The System tray will have any variety of little icons in it that show you what programs are running. In my case, if I pause over these, I can see a couple of things. I can see a little flag with an X that's telling me I have some PC issues, one important message and 2 messages total. To the right of that, I can pause over it, and this is telling me that I'm currently connected to a network and I have internet access. This icon will look different in both Windows XP and Windows Vista. For those 2 operating systems, you'll actually see 2 little overlapping computer monitors. If you have an internet connection, on the bottom right of those 2 monitors, you'll see a little globe. And if you pause over it, it will either say local only if you're on a network without internet, or it will say local and internet if you have both. Then I see a little speaker, and it tells me that right now my speaker is available and the volume's at 100%. In the next lesson, we'll talk about how to actually adjust some of these things. But know that the system tray shows you different things that are running in the background while your computer is on, and it also gives you useful information about their current status. When we talk about software, we'll talk a little bit more about the buttons that I'm seeing on the left. And for Windows Vista and Windows XP, remember that you won't see any of the buttons here until you actually launch a program. Windows Vista and XP, though, does have an area similar to this on the left-hand side called the Quick Launch Bar. It also holds quick shortcuts like we put for My Computer, except it puts them on the taskbar instead of the desktop. The one last thing we should talk about when we're talking about the desktop itself is the fact that the taskbar can be modified. If I press and hold my left mouse button on any blank space of the taskbar, and I drag my mouse all the way up to the top of the screen, I can actually move my taskbar to any edge, the top, the left, the right, or the bottom. Now, I really don't recommend this because the default is for it to be at the bottom, and any of the books and references and people that you talk to are going to assume that's where it's at. But just know that you can move it by pressing and holding on a blank space and then dragging it to an edge. What's more common and maybe more important to know is that if you put your mouse on the very top border, you'll see that your mouse turns from a white arrow to a double-headed arrow. When you have the double-headed arrow, that means that you can resize the taskbar. If I press and hold my left mouse button and drag up, I can make the taskbar much bigger. Now, since there's nothing open on it really at the moment, this would be unnecessary and it's just wasting space. But here's why I wanted to show it to you. Sometimes people accidentally drag it all the way down. And in Windows XP and Windows Vista, if you drag it all the way down, you can actually squish it flat so that you can't see it anymore. Don't panic. What you need to know is that for Vista and XP, you have to have a taskbar, and it has to be on the left, right, top, or bottom. So if you can't see it, try going to the bottom of your screen and moving all the way down with the cursor and see if it turns into a double-headed arrow. You'll probably only be able to see the top of the arrow. If you can see that, then you can press and hold your left mouse button and simply drag it up to the regular size. I can't do that on Windows 7 because in Windows 7 I'm actually unable to squish it down. They kind of fixed that because they knew it was a problem for prior operating systems. Other than moving and sizing it, we also can set properties. If I right-click on the taskbar and I choose Properties, there are only a couple of things that I want to show you. First of all, there's a checkbox that says you can lock the taskbar. That way you can't accidentally resize it or move it. Another option is to auto-hide the taskbar. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on so you can see what that does. Then I'm going to move to the bottom of this window, and you'll see that I have an OK, a Cancel, and an Apply button. Many times when you're asked to make settings or changes for things like printing or how Windows works, you will see these 3 buttons. OK tells it to save your settings and to close the window. Cancel says to close the window without saving any of the changes. And Apply lets you to apply the new settings but keeping the window open. That way, if you need to change a setting because you're not sure if you did the right one or not, you don't have to go through the process of opening the window all over again. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a single left click on Apply, and I want you to watch the taskbar at the bottom of the screen. See how it slides out of the way? This is the Auto Hide feature. It gets it out of the way, kind of takes it off the screen, and if I want it back, I simply need to move my cursor to the bottom of the screen to bring it back up. So it goes away, and it comes back. Do I like that feature? Personally, I do not. Personally, I turn this feature off, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it off for the rest of this course, just so we don't lose track of where that taskbar is. But I did want you to know that some people like to keep their desktop kind of cleaned up. And for that, auto-hiding the taskbar does give you a little bit of extra space. I'll move back up to the auto-hide option. I'll click on the checkbox to remove it. And I'm not going to talk about the rest of these features for this class because this is computer fundamentals. We get into a lot more of these specific options in the Windows 7 course. So for now, I'll just say OK. You'll notice that my taskbar now comes up and it's not hidden anymore because I turned that feature off. And now you've had a good tour of the desktop, understanding that the desktop can contain all kinds of little icons for everything from system things like the computer to individual files and folders. You know that the taskbar is usually found at the bottom, and it includes the system tray, could include a quick launch bar, but always includes a start button. You also know that you can customize the taskbar, including moving it, sizing it, and setting properties like